Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Aliens. I'm John, and as always, thank you so much for being here. Good topic? Let's do it. What's the most chilling phone call you've ever received? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. When I was about 11, I got up around 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom. I walked in, peed, washed up. Just kidding. I was 11 and it was 3 a.m. F that shit. Started walking back to my room, and as I walked through the living room, I heard the telephone ring. This was the mid 90s, so it was a landline. Confused and slightly startled, I walked over to the phone, picked it up, and heard someone screaming. It was distorted. It almost sounded like radio static that was trying to talk to me. I kept saying, "What?" and "Huh?" Finally, after trying to make out what it said, the static got really loud, and through it I heard very clearly, very loudly, "Get out, now!" I just hung up the phone really quickly and ran to my mom's room and told her what had happened. She was too tired to really say much. She had a little cot in the room, and I just slept with her that night. I never really thought about it again until today. Not a phone call, but picked up on a 2-mile walkie-talkie when I was a kid. I just got these dope-ass talkies for Christmas, so whenever my dad would be doing his patrols nearby, he'd talk to me. I brought them over to my grandma's to show off my punk-ass cousins. I was like 8, so of course all my new toys resulted in the younger family having a pissing contest. Well, I go out in the backyard by myself and turn on the talkie, and I forget it was on. Heard the chime that someone had said something. I pulled it out and turned it up. Then some creepy voice says that he's going to get me and kill me. He then proceeds to describe me. I'm freaking the F out looking around, and the guy tells me he's in the woods watching me. Now the woods were around 200 yards or so out. Then, in the creepiest part, he tells me to look over at the neighbor's tree, and there's a noose tied up in it. I sprinted inside and got my dad, who then got the family, who then got their guns, and went for a manhunt. Scary shit. I was about 11 years old. I played games on some weird early Windows online multiplayer platform. I made a couple of friends I would play games with on the reg. I got a call on my landline saying, "Hey baby." I thought it was a prank, so I hung up. 3 more calls like this kept coming in, so I finally asked who it was and why they kept calling. The man on the line asked, "Is this, insert my childish girly username here?" I was so freaked out. I had never given out any of my personal information online, so how did he get my home number? The only thing that was available was my username. I never went on that gaming server again. Phone calls weren't for me, but 3 days before Christmas, when I was 8 or 9, I picked up the phone in another room, apparently after my mother had already answered, and just heard a hysterical woman on the other line say, "I was killed in a car accident," followed by a lot of sobbing and garbled words. I had to ask my mom, who was killed in a car accident, to find out after she got off the phone. It turns out it was the mother of my best friend and playmate. Her 2 daughters, including my friend, had just been killed in a car accident involving a semi. I don't have a lot of clear memories from that age, but this one and its aftermath have stuck with me. Not a phone call, but I got a letter in the mail about 6 years ago. It was marked first class and kept using my name throughout the letter. It basically described my current state of living and some specifics in my life, and if I wanted to know more about who they are, I should contact them immediately. The odd part was that I was actually homeless and sleeping on my friend's couch periodically. The letter was sent there. I googled the return address, and it was this little white building in the middle of nowhere in Illinois. I never contacted them. Everyone has their reason for everything they do, but how did you not contact them? Maybe it would have been a mistake, like you said, but I would have definitely written back. Not a phone call. Someone is at my door. Yesterday. I have a front door, which is actually towards the back of the building, in a fairly hard to get hallway or alley. You can't see the alleyway from the street, as it's guarded by tall bushes blocking out street views. I also have a sliding glass door that leads to a balcony over the front of my garage or driveway, a main road, and then the Pacific Ocean or beach. I can't miss it. Anyway, it gets hot here, so I open up the front back door and the sliding glass door to get a good cross breeze. I was sitting on the couch yesterday, redditing away, just doing my own thing, when I saw a dark figure standing in the doorway with a cane in his hand. He sort of whistles to get my attention, and I jump up thinking it's probably somebody I know, but I just can't tell because of the lighting. As I get closer, I see a sub-30-year-old man dressed in black cargo pants and a long-sleeve black shirt with a black cane just sort of smiling or staring at me. So I come at him, trying to recognize him in any way I can. Nope. And he tells me he needs directions to the beach. Now I'm a little thrown off because literally from any point on my street, you can see the beach. He proceeds to tell me he took the bus from a nearby town and thought it might be a good day to go to town to the beach. All the while, I'm basically just searching for any quick directions to get him off my front porch, and the entire time he was just staring at me. Not like actually trying to remember the directions or repeat them back or anything. Not like he actually needed directions anyway. He then makes a comment about the necklace I had on, asking if my boyfriend had bought it for me. Smooth, I said. No, my fiance did. And he just kind of said, oh, and hobbled off my front porch. It sounds ordinary, but it's just not. If he actually did take a bus into town, you would literally have to go out of your way from where the bus stop is to walk up to my place and then ask for directions to the beach. Second of all, like I said, I live across the street from the most popular beach in our town, and it's quite obvious from the street. Third of all, yesterday was overcast and rainy, not a beach day, and he was covered head to toe. I just got the eerie feeling in the pit of my stomach that he was there for something else, but I guess I'll never know. Oh, I have another one. So, for some reason, every other year or so I get a series of blocked calls. Sometimes they're just the wrong numbers, and most of the time someone else is on the other end of the line and hangs up. Obviously, being blocked, I can't call back. Most of the time I don't even answer anymore because whoever is doing it obviously gets some sort of rise out of it. But anyway, the calls continue to get later and later in the night. I just had a funny feeling about them when I started describing to my roommate at the time what was happening. I told her how weird it was, and bam, like clockwork, I started getting another blocked call at that very moment. So I answer it, immediately step outside so I can hear it better, and whoever is on the other line starts immediately playing the clip from the movie Taken up until the "I will find you and I will kill you," and then the line goes dead. I'm standing there ghost-faced as someone is basically inadvertently threatening to kill me. I never found out who that was, and obviously I didn't get murdered. A call from a girl's father threatening to kill me. 8 years ago, I was 16, about to get on a plane in Houston to go to Ireland on vacation. I'd been texting a girl I was into off and on for the past few days, and we were just shooting the shit. She asked what I was doing. I explained that my cousin and I were just talking about weed and how I just recently smoked for the first time. This was true. She asks, "Do you have any on you?" I say, "Of course not. I'm about to go to the airport and through customs. I'd be effed." The phone rings. It's her. I answer. I hear her dad say, "Well, this is girl's name's father. You've been texting, so you're already effed." I was in Houston. He lived in Houston. I started freaking out. He says, "I'm coming to the airport to break every bone in your body," and several other threats. Having met the man before, I believe that he would because he was kind of insane anyway. I frantically tried to explain myself out of the situation. Of course, now I'm fully aware he was just trying to freak me out because I was 16 and a dumb kid. But goddammit, it worked. I spent the entire time at the airport terrified. The story ends with me having to call my parents and explain the situation, which apparently resulted in my own father calling the guy and saying something. I'm not sure exactly, but I've never heard from the girl's dad again. I never made it with the girl either. Not sure if this counts, but here goes. Before we got rid of our landline, the phone would occasionally ring, displaying the house number and our name as if the call were coming from inside the house. The first few times it happened, it always happened when I was home alone. Did a full security sweep of the house, weapons drawn, that would have made Mac proud. My wife didn't really seem to care until it finally happened with us both there. And no, I never answered because I watch movies, and no good could possibly have come from it. When I was 10, I was playing some games on the computer at around 11 p.m. The phone rang and I heard an old, very distressed man yell, "Fire! Help me!" and what sounded like a huge fire in the background. Obviously, being the scared little kid I was, I hung up the phone and went upstairs because I shouldn't have been awake anyway. The next day when I went to school, the house about 15 feet down from mine was nearly completely torched. My mom still says it was nothing, but I don't know. At about 12 o'clock in the morning, my mom came to my room to tell me a girl was on the house phone. I thought it could be a girl I had a fling with, but this was still weird because we just got a house phone and didn't give my number to anyone yet. We're always getting cut off. The girl started threatening me about a bag of weed my brother sold. Her boyfriend was apparently short. She was saying my fingers were going to get chopped off. The whole time I could hear a man in the background almost whispering, basically telling her what to say. Then all of a sudden the phone went dead, and I lay in bed thinking, what the? My brother did sell, but I have no idea how they got my number. The time and the fact they spoke to my mom were all chilling, but I haven't heard anything since, and it was 6 years ago, so all's well. In high school, I sold weed to some friends to smoke for free. I didn't buy much to sell, only about a half ounce to an ounce at a time. If that's only sold to my closest friends, since I don't really tend to go outside of my usual circle anyway, and we all smoked. I'm hanging out at home one day, and I receive a phone call. Hey, I heard you could hook me up with some good weed. Now, I'm like 16, maybe 17 at the time. The guy on the phone sounded like a 40-year-old man. I had no idea who this guy was. I told him I had no idea what he was talking about, and asked how he got my number and who gave it to him. I never got a straight answer. I just beat around the bush. The number wasn't blocked, and it had the same area code as me, so I decided to Google search it. The number ended up being my local county sheriff's department. To this day, I have no idea how they got my phone number or how they knew. Never sold to anyone I didn't know, and only kept within my group of like 10 close friends. I was also confused as to why they called from the sheriff's office. I didn't try to restrict their phone number or anything. I was visiting my cousin in a Chicago suburb when I was around 11. The neighbor's parents were gone, so me, the two neighbor girls, both older than me, one much older, and their brother, my age, decided to watch The Ring. We finished watching around 10 p.m. I say bye and walk back to my aunt's house across the street. I get there, and my 4-year-old cousin is still awake, giving me a great idea. I call the neighbor's house and tell her to whisper 7 days into the phone. Apparently they all slept in the same room that night. I told him it was me, and the oldest sister was so mad. I was alone in the house. My parents were out with my brother, and I had the house to myself. I was nervous about that to begin with, so I just put the TV on. After a while, the phone rings, so I hesitantly make my way down the hallway to answer it. Surprisingly, it stops ringing when I finally get there. Oh well, I say as I begin making my way towards the living room, when all of a sudden the phone rings. Goes at it again. This time I pick it up. Hello? Hello? After a moment of listening, I finally got a response. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Get out of the way! It turns out to be my cousin using a soundboard to prank me. When I was in middle school, I was eating food in my basement and watching TV one day when the phone rang. Someone answers it upstairs, and a minute later, my mom comes rushing down the steps. Sounding really upset, she says, "Chasing statistics, there's a man on the phone for you. Do you know any men named Robert?" I knew one kid in school named Robert, but he was like 12 years old like me. In no way did he sound like a man. So, she and I both had no idea who this dude was. But he asked for me by name, and she was super suspicious, not of me, of the man. So I pick up the phone and she goes upstairs. I say hello. Then he goes, "Hi, chasing statues, do you remember me?" The way he said it creeped me out. I started searching my memory for this guy, but I had no idea who he was or what to say. After what felt like a long period of silence, all of a sudden, my mom's voice comes in through the receiver, going, "Obviously she doesn't. Who are you?" He hung up. She called the cops, and they took a statement, but obviously there was really nothing they could do. He called back one more time, and when he asked for me, my mom was like, "What do you want with her?" So he just hung up again. Then we got call intercept. I was kind of mad at her about that for a long time because I blamed her for making it an unsolved mystery. Now, I completely understand her reaction, but I still wonder about it sometimes.